quite a way to start it off. But we got the WWE using main event for the best way they possibly can, and that is by including Zoe Stark and Charlie Dempsey on this week's episode of Main Event as more NXT talent look to have their opportunity on the main roster. Again, this is not WWE's way of bringing up the young William Regal, William Regal's son, or Zoe Stark. It is like they have done over the last couple of months since Triple H took over. They have been giving people a variety of talent the opportunity to work on to work on main event, and thus far it's actually gone very well for everybody involved. And to my knowledge, it's been a very good, it's been a very productive way to use main event. But this week, if you're going to be looking out for anybody, look out for Zoe Stark and Charlie Dempsey, as they're going to be participating on, actively involved on main event this week. With that being said, it is also worth noting that, or worth, maybe not noting, but keeping in mind, WrestleMania, I still do believe that post-WrestleMania will be when we start finding out who's going to be coming up to the main roster. And I think Pretty Deadly is up there. I think Zoe Stark may surprise you. I think there are a number of talent on the NXT roster that could be joining the main roster before the summertime. And it may surprise you who will be moving up. But speaking of rejoining the roster, Cody Rhodes is officially announced for the Royal Rumble match. It is interesting that the guys at Cultaholic did note that because Cody Rhodes was announced for the Rumble, could this mean that WWE has another return or debut set for the Rumble that they didn't mind? That they didn't mind announcing Cody Rhodes ahead of time. But in Cody's vignettes promoting his return to the company after nearly a year away, it was last night when it was announced that Cody will be returning on January the 28th at the Royal Rumble for the very first time since the Hell in a Cell last year. Also, Omos was announced for the Royal Rumble. So you got another 2 names added to the Royal Rumble match. Also, Bianca Belair versus Alexa Bliss is set for the Royal Rumble match for the Women's Championship. I do think it is entirely possible, or at least it should be considered, that Alexa Bliss will win the Women's Championship at the Royal Rumble match, or at the Royal Rumble, because of how things have been tracking with Alexa and Uncle Howdy and Bray Wyatt, that it is entirely possible, especially with how dangerous Alexa Bliss has looked over the last couple of months, since her association with Uncle Howdy has been starting to be addressed. I think it is something that should at least be considered, or at least it should be at least talked about. Alexa Bliss winning at the Royal Rumble and becoming the new Women's Champion, ending what has been an incredible run for Bianca Belair as the leader of the women's division. But before the Royal Rumble, we have Raw 30 next week with legends galore making their returns to WWE, including The Undertaker, D-Generation X, Ric Flair, Steve Austin, Teddy Long, Ron Simmons, and more will be featured in some form or fashion next week on Monday Night Raw as Raw celebrates 30 years, which is absolutely insane because I still remember the 15-year anniversary. You know, I still remember the 15-year anniversary, so it is absolutely insane that we've hit Raw 30. But I think it will be a spectacular event and a nice go home, and it will still be a nice go home show because not only will we have all those legends, but also on Raw 30 it is Bobby Lashley versus Austin Theory for the United States Championship. The Judgment Day will challenge the Usos for the Unified Tag Team titles, or for the Raw Tag Team titles rather, not for the Unified Tag Team titles. And Becky Lynch will fight the leader of Damage Control, Bayley, in a steel cage match. It is definitely going to be a magnificent event this next week on Raw as WWE celebrates 30 years of Monday Night. 30 years of Monday Nights. 30 years of Monday Night Raw. Also, something worth noting is that Brock Lesnar has been removed from the promo picture for the Royal Rumble, which has led some to believe that Brock Lesnar is out of the Royal Rumble or even being considered for the Royal Rumble. And honestly, I don't think there's a reason why Brock should have been in the Royal Rumble, unless the only reason why I can think of that Brock should have been considered in the first place for the Rumble is if they had the intention of using the Rumble to set up a WrestleMania match for the Beast Incarnate, because that, in my opinion, is the only reason why you include Brock in the Royal Rumble. Because at this point, Brock should not even be considered as somebody that could win the Rumble 2 years in a row, and especially after how poorly the Rumble was booked last year. You know, keeping certain talent that was a part of the Rumble last year out of the picture is better than adding them into the picture, unless you, again, had a reason to add Brock in, which the only reason, in my opinion, to add Brock into the Rumble would be to set up a WrestleMania match for the Beast. Another thing to note before we go is another meeting to calm the roster was held after what happened last week. It was held before Monday Night Raw last night, and there is talk that there will be likely another meeting before NXT as they're trying to cover all their bases and, you know, let everybody know there's nothing to worry about, nothing is confirmed, and to discuss everything, which is something that they should have did last week, but the news broke after the television tapings, so they could not do it last week. But they did it on SmackDown on Friday, and, it was only fitting that they take care of it on Monday, and if they take care of it today as well. But they calmed the roster after the news of a sale and after rumors spreading of Vince McMahon taking up more of a active role in creative. So there's a lot of things to, address, and they just did it to calm the roster a little bit. Before we go, I just wanted to say that as of right now, everything seems to be okay, and Anna Jay seems to be okay after a scary spot during the tag team match on Rampage last week, where Willow Nightingale overshot the table, and Anna Jay basically landed on the concrete. So it is good to hear that Anna Jay is doing okay, and I again applaud them for their effort last week on Rampage, and say that again, if you want the women featured in more of a prominent position like they were on Rampage last week, then you can't have it both ways. That's all I gotta say. But again, I'm happy to hear that Anna Jay's doing okay, because that was really a scary a scary spot in the match last week, and it is great to hear that she's doing fine. Either way, though, these have been my thoughts on these specific subjects of wrestling. I will take a look around to see if there's anything else for another news video, but if not, I will see you in the next video.